we want to offer the hospital not just the device. Like, we sell very good oven. If you are, getting the home kind of example, we sell the oven, but not everyone can bake the best cake, even if you have the best oven. So to give them the right recipe, the right
That's my case.
The right recipe and also the right ingredients and everything that they need to bake the right cake, and we show them, and then we help every person that is going to bake the cake via the oven will be having the same standard output of a beautiful cake. So that's something that we are focusing on. So not anymore focus on the oven, we focus on the cakes, and we help the hospital to find their own beloved cake, and we help to co-create the recipe together, and making sure every time everyone uses the same recipe and delivering the same level of care no matter where they are.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Product as a Service Champions podcast, where we aim to eliminate the sense of being alone when navigating the wild product as a service landscape. I'm your host, Yann Toutant, and on this episode, I'm very pleased to speak with a renowned pricing expert, Daniel Cho from Philips Healthcare. Daniel will tell us a lot about healthcare as a service. It's a pleasure to have you today, Daniel, on our podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here. So I'm Daniel Cho, maybe just a brief explanation of where I'm sitting in the organization. So we are actually located within the Innovation and Strategy Group, which is really focusing a lot more on the what we call upstream, so the innovation side, the development. And also for me, I'm also the owner of all the pricing strategies and also the pricing systems and processes, which also focus a lot on the actual commercialization or downstream activities. And so I'm actually sitting kind of bridging the two gaps within Philips. So and one of this solution, as you see later on, is really bringing a patient monitor, which is a device, and transforming it into a service, monitoring as a service for our customers. So this is also the journey I was directly involved in the creation, and also thinking about that model. So that I want to share maybe with the group, what our experience were at that moment.
Exactly, and I think what is very interesting, Daniel, is that when we prepared the podcast together, we had a very interesting discussion on. You've really triggered me on the way you position your as a service offer, and it's good to take this example of monitor as a service. Before we go there, could you just share yourself? What has been your track record? What has been your professional journey that brought you to this as a service expertise that you have today?
So I actually started my first work as a management consultant working for Pricewaterhouse. So since the beginning, I am being a trained professional, in problem solving, and also very much focusing on customers and their outcome and helping them to improve their performance. Then my second job, I went into the telecommunication field, actually working very closely to do business intelligence, business reporting, for telecommunication. Then I went on a new journey, which is more connected to healthcare. From then on, I'm always attached to healthcare. I start selling, which is a unique experience, and then using a consultative selling methodology is actually quite beneficial, because you always helping your customer to solve their problem by you offering, a real solution. Instead of pushing technology, we are looking at co-developing something that can bring better outcome. So that was really helping me to be quite successful. From that point onwards, I was also responsible for entire Asia Pacific, looking after the sales development before I come to the business, which is 20 years ago, into Germany, and started to become a product manager, which really focusing on really generating the innovation that help our customer to be successful. That is the point that I joined patient monitoring directly, and really focusing on all that they do. And then I become the market intelligence leader, looking into market insights, looking at customer insights, doing market research. So that point onwards, I'm also extremely outside driven and looking at customers, really their requirement, their challenges, their pain points and all that. And then I got finally, attached to pricing starting 2012. And I started only to do pricing in patient monitoring, later on the entire connected care, and later on also delivering my service also to imaging side. And now I'm responsible the whole of Philips, so all 17 businesses, and also globally. So, and one of my passion is always remaining back to patient monitoring because they also are the market leader and also most advanced.
Thanks, Daniel. It's I think your track record is interesting to share that you have been indeed always into value, delivering value to the end user, and not selling specs. The specs are just the way to reach this value to be delivered to the end customer. I think that's a very interesting track record you had to make this happen. And if we focus now on patient monitoring as a service, before we deep dive on the how to, could you explain to us what's the offer? What are the components of the offer, and what is the value you deliver with this offer?
So traditionally, we offer a device, so a patient monitor, into the healthcare. So either in a critical care unit, or then you have also in other like pediatric, and they use that device to treat their patients. So a lot of times, of course, they are the experts, so they are very good at using the machine, but sometimes they are not having the quality of such a knowledge across the whole organization or whole hospital, especially now more and more, you have big consolidation of multiple hospitals, and it's very difficult for them to manage their quality across all of their hospitals. And within the hospital, all of the clinical unit, and within the clinical unit, all the users, and having that very, very strong capability to monitor and save lives, it's what a lot of healthcare organizations are struggling, especially after COVID, when a lot of nurses, they go early retirement, or they got burnout and they lose all these experienced nurses. So now all these people are younger and maybe with much less experience, and they still need to operate this very difficult machine to treat very difficult diseases. So that's where we come in. So we want to offer the hospital not just the device, like we sell very good oven. If you are getting the home kind of example, we sell the oven, but not everyone can bake the best cake, even if you have the best oven. So to give them the right recipe, the right the right recipe, and also the right ingredients and everything that they need to bake the right cake, and we show them, and then we help every person that is going to bake the cake via the oven will be having the same standard output of a beautiful cake. So that's something that we are focusing on. So not anymore focus on the oven, we focus on the cakes. And we help the hospital to find their own beloved cake, and we help to co-create the recipe together, and making sure every time everyone uses the same recipe and delivering the same level of care, no matter where they are. So we are talking about big organizations that may have few thousand patient beds, and to have all equivalent quality to monitor the patient, having this earlier detection if problem arises. That is a big kind of task to us, the hospital, to do. So Philips will offer our own way of working, so including deploying the technology, including even building this quality assurance and also quality improvement into the whole service, so that they will at the end benefit for much better patient outcome and also much better financial and then also operational outcome. So that is the whole purpose. So not to sell the oven, but sell the baking. That's the transformation.
This outcome-based approach, of course. What's the outcome? In your case, it's a healthy patient, and it's not about the monitor; it's about a healthy patient.
Healthy patient, better operation. You can do more with less because now you have less nurses, and also the financial benefit. Reducing error, reducing repeats, reducing time wasted. So all this will at the end also circle back to better financial performance in the hospital.
Great, thanks for making it so easy to understand, the oven and the cake story. I think what we see is that in what you explain, it happens in a lot of organizations. There is a move from technology-centric approach to a one that prioritizes the customer experience, the outcome. And I know you have a few slides that you have prepared to share with us about this transformation and how it has influenced your as a service development strategy. And I've seen those slides already. I think they are very, very well designed to understand the model. Would you like to share with the audience your visuals on this matter?
Yeah, so maybe I just quote this example because this is one of the very strong example that we can provide on how you transform together with your customer, of course, to have monitoring. And this is also the enterprise. That means we are serving more than just one clinical unit. We are really talking about, I mean, recently we have a big partnership with a customer that has 49 hospitals, and we are going to align the quality of all 49 hospitals for them on the level of patient monitoring. And this become a service that we offer to them. So it's a first of a kind. You know, previously with this hospital, this was the first hospital that co-developed this together with us, Jackson Memorial. And then they actually are really enjoying, and they keep telling everyone else it's one of the best experience they have, because it's not about having the better devices, which we have. I mean, we have the best patient monitoring devices in the world, but it's also about the best monitoring capability of their own team and delivering an amazing outcome, and also delivering also the biggest solution for them in the shortage of staff. So they all run into shortage of staff, and how can they still operate the same level of service with less people? And this is where they really feel a lot of value that they get from that solution. So the approach, and I already mentioned to you, the approach is really changing from a capital investment. You pay everything up front, and which make that transformation also difficult. Imagine you have to buy a few thousand patient monitors at the same time, paying in full, and each one is like the price of a car. It's very difficult for any organization to have that upfront investment. So we change it into more a consumption-based model. So only when you have a patient, we count the number of patient days that we offer that monitoring service, that make the initial hurdle of that big capital investment much easier, for the hospital to experience. And also we support also the adoption. So the technology is technology. If you don't adopt, it doesn't really work for you. So also making sure we deliver everything that help the customer to adopt all the new features, all the improvement, all the clinical decision support, so that it works. And of course, it manage everything for them, so they don't even have to take care of the equipment or the breakdown or whatever. And we don't just sell, we partner, because at the end of the day, we want them to have better outcome, because the outcome is what we will get back, as a reason for them to continue. Otherwise, they will stop the service, then also is not going to be nice for Philips. So in order to do that, we did ask a lot of customers. I said, we asked them, what is the model that you really wanted? Because it is a big transformation for both of us, because we have never done it before, and customer has never buy it like that before. So we say, what is the most practical way we can deliver you with this service, and you will see the benefit? And actually, they mentioned back to us, they say, the hardware that you have in Philips, monitor your scanners and also your ultrasound machine, the hardware has a longer life. So basically, it doesn't change throughout the year much. It's like your PC. You buy a PC, the PC stay relevant for many number of years. But the software and the features are the one that is very fast changing, and especially in the days of all this AI development, all this ChatGPT, autonomous services, and all these things are coming in. And they say we want to make sure we are well prepared for it, and we can adapt those new features and the value of those new features can bring to us as the fastest pace, and also we again able to adopt and make use of those new technology, especially AI, and also all the data analytics and everything behind it. And then that require a lot of professional service as well. So you need to come in almost like as a consultant to teach us, to help us to get through that hurdle. I mean, because a lot of this technology is so new to everyone that the change management also need to be done. So they need help on that, and they want to make sure they get the best return on investment on that level. And this is where they want to have a subscription or pay-per-use or consumption-based model. And hardware, they say I can buy it. It's like PCs, and I can also use my tax to actually get rebates. Basically, also depreciate to zero at the very end. So it's almost like get it for free. So those are things that all customers come back to us and say, if you give us this model, that will be much better for us. And we also look at many different pricing model in the world. I mean, especially the one with Xerox. It's counted per page printed. So you don't have to look at the paper, you don't have to look at the toner, you don't have to worry about the surface, the machine, nothing. You just count number of pages you print, then you get that payment. So this is the model that really, the one that a lot of customers really are favorable. They say, if I can have the same, whenever I have a patient, I pay. If I have no patient, I don't pay. That is the model they really aspire. So then we look at, okay, there are 3 different models the customer can adopt, and we check with them. The first one is financing. If they pay by the bank, get the money and they buy the thing and pay the bank, on a fixed interest, it's always expensive because the bank take a commission, and then Philips take a commission, and everyone is looking at risk. So this is most likely the most expensive model. And then there is another model is customer buy, and then they will pay for us whenever new technology comes in, and then whenever it comes. So this kind of unpredictable wave of investments is also difficult for customers. I mean, they also need a very stable financial planning, especially cash flow and all that. So they say they don't really like that. But this model, which is what we are now using, this is the patient population at the bottom, and at the top, this is how we charge. So we charge a little bit premium on the number of patients that they have. It is following exactly the census. And customers like this idea because they say, if I have a patient, I will have an income. And you are just taxing me in that income. So this is fine because I already have an income. So you can tax me. I don't have to find other alternative source of, money from any investor in order to, to put into this investment. So to them, this is really a nice way. But they really want to say, if I pay you this much, we want everything from you. So it's not only the devices, we need everything. So on the left, you will see that it covers also the training, it take care of all the technology upgrades, performance management, everything, because we will have no other money that we can take out. So make sure you prepare yourself, to offer all this, and then I pay you then per patient. So at the very end, also we co-develop with them also on a mechanism to do this continuous improvement. And you mentioned to me during the initial discussion about data. How can we deal with data? What can we together use that data to help them to further improve? So this is actually built into the whole program, that we collect important KPIs together with the customer, and we look at, okay, how this KPI is developing. Are they up, down, going sideways? And at that point, do we have to interfere? Do we have to do something about it? If yes, then Philips will send in a team and deep dive into where this is not doing well, and then we help them to work around the improvement and making sure they deal with that problem. This is where they see the best benefit. It is really, they have all the visibility of all, where are the bottlenecks, where are the things that need to be duplicated, where are the things that you keep doing and it keep failing, and then they can focus on those and help themselves to improve based on the technology that we offer them. This is not in the traditional way. Traditional way is we drop ship the oven and we don't have to taste the cake and advise them, you are too sweet, you have not enough cream. Now we are also looking at the cake together with them and making sure the next baking is better. And this continuous improvement is where the biggest value of the entire service is providing to customers. And of course, once we find the best spot in one hospital, then we can easily deploy it across all 49 hospitals for them. Then everyone benefit from one finding, and which is also very difficult in the past for them to also replicate the success, throughout their whole organization. And we are the one that is now helping them. And also we can collect data also through all 49 hospitals and look at the common and look at the differences, and also help them then to align a lot better in their level of care. And also maybe their protocol are different, and that drive different results. Maybe then you should look at, okay, do we continue to support these different protocols, or do we want to align them on the better performing hospital? So those are the things that is working really well, and this is where also the value is being felt the most. So maybe just a few numbers to show. So in the co-creation of the Jackson Memorial, they find out they save through potential staff hours of 13,000. Remember, they don't have enough staff. So if you save the hours that people have to do overworking and all that, that is a substantial value for them. It saves a lot of time also during transport, which they do a lot, for the patient to go from one place to the next. Every time they transport now is only 3.9 seconds. In the past, they have to spend 5 minutes. It's the same on doing the data crunching. So previously they have to enter manually all the data. Now it's all automated, and all this. So all these are really very real savings that they see and feel, and this also justify a lot on why they want to invest into such a big project. So that's what I want to share.
Thank you, Daniel, for sharing this content. And I think it's very, very valuable to have a specific use case like this one, where you clearly demonstrate the value of unburdening the customer with the activities that you can improve for him, and his co-development together with the customer. I'd like to really tap into your pricing expertise for this specific model. If we think about logistics, for example, now the main KPI for as a service in logistics is by the pallet, so it's the price per pallet. That's a given in the logistics industry. I'd like to know what is the KPI that has been chosen for this model? What is the pricing metric that you use, and how have you defined the pricing that the customer is ready to pay for your services?
Yep. So first, in order to understand the prices, we first have to understand the perceived value, because at the end, customer pay you because of the value that they perceive. And this is especially important for business to business. And we are selling to hospital, and hospital is running their business and they are treating their patients. So in order to understand how much the perceived value is, then you have to start quantifying and also understanding or identifying where you drive value for them. And this is the model that we use in Philips on the healthcare side. So we track only 5 big value drivers. So where do we actually drive value? And customer actually also completely understand and also very focused on those drivers. So the first one is economic drivers. So can we help the customer to do to make more income? So have higher reimbursement or have even higher profitability per case they do. And then the second one is, can we help them to reduce their cost? Can they do less repeating work? Can they do things faster with less intervention? Can they detect something earlier so they don't have to have a very expensive treatment at the very end, and detect for example infection early enough so they don't have to deal with all the consequences of that infection? So all this is bringing very strong economic value. So this normally is called a return on investment, cost of ownership, business cases, whatever you call it. But this is what really easily justify the investment you put. So this is the one that we focus a lot with the customers to see where do we give them a financial benefit. The second one is on operational benefits. So we already mentioned about efficiency, automation, reducing errors, and do more with less resources. These are also very important for customers. And this operation value is calculated, in patient flows. If you look at KPIs, it's number of patients that are successfully, flow through the whole hospital, of course. And you can also count on some of the things like repeated entry. So if you discharge a patient too early out of the critical care, Maybe they are sick and they come back, and this is not paid by the insurance, so it will be paid by the hospital as their own mistake. So these are never events. Or if they discharge to home, how many times they come back to the hospital, which the second treatment is not reimbursable. So again, these are costs to the hospital, and also completely destroy their operational, because then they keep doing the things again and again rather than do one time right. And this require a lot of automation, a lot of efficiency. You should have artificial intelligence helping you decide which patient is ready to discharge with a high confidence. Then you will not make the wrong decision or mistake. The third one is on clinical. Of course, we are in healthcare business. We need to look at first-time diagnosis, first-time right on treatment, making sure you have the reduced number of mortality, and also reduced number of infection in the hospital, and all these important clinical KPIs. You also need to help them to focus and improve. And each time you touch a clinical, it also helps the nurses and doctor feel better. And that also go back down to the emotional one, the next one. Emotional is how your staff feel safe when they work, how nice they feel when they're working, because today they are burnout. They have too much to work, running around like crazy because things are not helped by proper procedures and equipment and all that. And also how the customer is experiencing. So the patient experience is very important because it directly impacts the hospital future income. And all this emotional value, cyber safe. Do you feel cyber safe? Do you feel your patient data is being secured? And all this is an emotional driver that also a lot of hospital is looking for support. And last but not least is being more and more focused in this new state, day and time is actually the societal value. So the access, can we have more access from different patients? Do we have ability to reduce our carbon footprint? The total waste that you are going to dump into the landfill, and also the energy consumption reduction. Can you use less energy? Can you use less damaging materials? And like very bad batteries that you need to use. All this is now also very, very consciously decided by the hospitals. They want to partner with vendor that can provide them a very, very good sustainable care that they can provide to their patients. So this is where we start collecting this information, and then by knowing exactly where we drive value, how much value we drive. For example, if you drive €1 million per year for that hospital, then Philips is entitled in general to get between 20 to 25% of that as an income back. And this is where we started negotiating and discussing with our customers. When they see and perceive these values, which we show just now here, then we say, this is the price you have to pay for that perceived value. Is that fine? Is that fair? Do you feel comfortable? And they have to go through back and forth, and with each of those value drivers. And then later on, we do a big, after we discuss with all the initial, then we collected more and more of this customer feedback through proper research. So we do conjoint, and also we do invest in to get into the price point that now we use. So it's not magic, nor by the gut. It is really starting all from how much value we can deliver, and then at the back how much customer is willing to pay for that delivered value, and then between the two, then we kind of come up with the price point. Then we test again with them, and they all agree this is the price point they are willing to pay. Then that's the price point at the end we use.
Very clear, Daniel. And that's I think this slide shows it all. And for any as a service business model, to have a value-based pricing is key. And organizations, the users, what we see very often are open to share the value created, because everybody's winning in this situation. It's a win-win-win situation. Definitely. You've touched a point about circularity, and of course, for me, it's a very important matter also that I'm a strong believer that as a service offers are here to really accelerate the circular business models. Can you explain what do you see as circular in the model next to what you just explained, which is to help reduce the carbon footprint impact of the treatment of the patients? Is there any other aspects that you consider as tapping into circular business model in your offer?
So first, I mean, we although we don't own the hardware, the customer actually own the hardware. There is a certain point in time we actually can go back and recommend the customers. This is about the time that you should update. I mean, like your PC, you cannot own it forever. At some point, your Windows will not run properly in the PC. So we will advise them ahead of time so that they can actually return the PC to us. So we will be the one that trading in all the existing equipments. And then we will reuse a lot of those materials and also a lot of them. And maybe also we can take that and offer it also as a service to someone that is requiring more basic features. Because I mean, what I show you is a very advanced model, which for hospital that want very, very high performance wanted. But there are also hospitals say, I just want a very basic thing to treat my patients. Give me the lowest cost possible solution, and it's still a good piece of equipment. So we can actually go back and refurbish this equipment, and then we can deliver it to a customer with a lower requirements. Because the high requirement, then you need to keep updating the hardware because you have bigger and bigger application you need to run. But for this cost-conscious customers, they may not have all this need for bells and whistles and all these very sophisticated features. Then they may be able to settle with a much less capable monitor. And then we can deliver them with this less capable monitor and then give it a second life. So by doing that, then also, of course, we will reduce a lot more landfill. And at the case of if there's no possibility to do that, then we can also farm all the parts to make sure that every element of the monitor that can be reused will be reused. And of course, the material is already we already built the original equipment with recycled material, so we can definitely rebuild it again with a recycled material. So all the plastics and a lot of this metal we can actually reuse quite normally. I mean, this is also part of our normal kind of production. So this is how we are bringing also some circularity into the solution for the customers. And of course, we depend on the customer how aggressive they want to replace that technology, because some will say, okay, I can take it slowly, and I already enjoy everything that you have, so don't push. But there are customers that really want to push us to the front and say that I want the best, give me all the ChatGPT capabilities that you can offer, and then that push a very high equipment, and that equipment most likely will be replaced a lot faster. And then we can collect it earlier and then give it even more confident to give a longer second life to the second customer that is going to use it. So this is where we are envisioning, especially for this very high-end customer, that we have a shorter cycle to replace. And if they see enough benefit coming from the whole solution, they also will have the willingness and also the financial power, to do this reinvestment into the hardware. Hardware is the smallest part of the investment. It's like your PC. Yeah. So for them, it's almost no brainer, and for them also they can discount it by tax, almost down to zero. So this is also for them. They also have a high willingness when there's a need to also replace it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I'm completely in line with what you mentioned as what we see on the market. Also, this principle of eco-design. So, you have a product that can be recycled by design. And then there are two options, which is either give it a second life to a new user after refurbishing by the manufacturer himself, or if it's not possible after this second life, to reintegrate some parts in new devices or maintenance purposes. And finally, completely reintegrate the materials in a brand new product. That's
at the very end, if nothing else will work, we also know how to dispose the system or the waste in a responsible way. So landfill is one of our last choice.
Yeah, and that's a good point. As usual, those discussions are very interesting. Unfortunately, we are reaching the end of the time we had together. So Before we conclude, Daniel, I have one last question for you. What are your view on the future and the big trends and innovation in the as a service model? And how do you think this will impact your offers? We talk about AI, for example. Will AI have an impact on your offer? But maybe there are other aspects that you would like to share. How do you see it developing?
So I can't comment from other industry because I'm only in the healthcare. But in the healthcare, I think more and more the customers is accepting AI as their best partner or their companion to make better and faster decisions. So I think that will be the trend. The trend is they want to have someone helping them to make better, faster decisions and also automate a lot for them. So nobody want to do administrative stuff. Nobody want to, to write a form, to get the reimbursement for the patients. So a lot of this very tedious task that is very administrative is taking a lot of energy out of these administrators and also the hospital department heads and also maybe even the nurses and doctors. So whatever the technology can go and help to take out this tedious work that don't add any value to the care of the patient, I think that will be the future. The future is everything that you want to remove from your daily work that is not adding value will become a service that someone can provide. And most likely, hopefully one vendor can provide a lot of these services, so then you don't have to subscribe 25 different things, and they are not integrated. But if vendor are intelligent enough, they should also partner with more and more vendor, creating more and more complete services to eliminate as much as possible non-value added things that the nurses and the doctors are involved, and give them the power to really do good patient care and make good diagnosis, and then support them also to make the diagnosis, so they also get the most advanced procedures, the most advanced clinical research data right at their fingertips, so they can make even much faster decision than before. So those, I believe, at least in the next 5 years, this is the trend I can see. Beyond that, then you talk about robotics and all these things beyond my current knowledge.
Well, it's what you mentioned indeed is this principle of the ecosystem of a solution that is being provided on a silver plate to the user. So who's gonna assemble this whole ecosystem in one offer and make sure that the user can focus on what is important for him? In the private sector, we call the core business. In your aspect is the safety of the patient and the quality of the treatment. That's really what we see, this consolidation of all the services that have to be delivered in one solution. And the question is, who's going to take this role to consolidate this ecosystem for the end user? That's a very important topic indeed. Daniel, before we say goodbye, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for being here today and to join the Product as a Service Champion podcast. I think we've been going through a very interesting discussion, and I think we only touched the surface. There's so much to add. One question: if our listeners want to reach out to you, how can we find you?
I'm very reachable in LinkedIn, so just search for Daniel Cho and then Phillips. You will find me. Okay. That's only one. Phillips.
That's the one and only. Okay. Great. Thank you again, and I would like to invite our listeners, if you need guidance and support into as a service journey, of course, you can reach out to Black Winch, also on LinkedIn and on the website, and stay inspired and keep innovating with all the as a service solutions that you will see online. Thank you again, Daniel, for your time today.
Thank you for inviting.
A lot of healthful patients.
Thank you. Bye-bye.